Hey guys, Sophia here with Turquoise Coffee, and I am live at the Vancouver Island Showdown. We've got pro women's bodybuilding, women's physique, and women's wellness. I'm going to be doing my full recap today from what I've seen with my own eyes sitting in the auditorium. I am also doing the amateur show, so make sure you wish me luck. It's so exciting to be here. Now, they do have a pay-per-view, so I'm not going to be showing footage of the show. If you want to watch it, you got to pay for that pay-per-view. But I'm going to be in there taking notes, keeping my eyes glued to the stage, and letting you know what I think from what I see right here live. So I hope you enjoy this video. It's special. It's so cool to be here. Hope to do more of these in person from now on. See you soon.
So I had a lot of fun at this show. I met so many IFBB pro athletes. Some of it was backstage. Some of it was the night before at the Tan. It was really, really incredible. Everybody was so nice, extremely easy to talk to. I made friends. I made connections. I was really quite blown away by how amazing all of these people were. And at the end of the day, I didn't do too badly. I got a couple medals, got a couple placings, so mission accomplished. So I definitely wanted to bring you guys along with me backstage at a pro show. This was my first time attending a pro show live, but I also wanted to respect the competitors. They were there for a very important reason. I tried to give everybody some space and not fangirl too much, but I definitely talked to as many of these athletes as I could. I got autographs, I got selfies, it was such an experience. So the amateurs and the pros were backstage in the same room. It was a big room covered in plastic so the Tan wouldn't make a mess anywhere. There was a little pump up area, there was a TV playing the show, mirrors, chairs, and it was just really cool to be in the same space as the pros themselves. Very, very neat experience. Okay, so let's get on with my critique. And as I said, everything that I'm telling to you today is from what I saw in the auditorium, not just by looking at the pictures. So this is a special video. Now, in terms of Olympia, there is no longer a tiered system. So it's the top 3 from last year's Olympia qualify, and then the winner of each of these divisions. Very, very cool. So awesome to see it in person. Okay, let's begin with pro women's bodybuilding. In first place was Sherry, second Julia, third Melina, fourth Keisha, and fifth Tananarive. So here's Tananarive in fifth, and wow, did she ever look amazing? I loved the bright pink suit. It looked so good with her skin. She had incredible back. She had wings. She was so wide, really good size, great delts. I thought her conditioning was particularly good in the quads by the knees, but the overall conditioning, I wished it was just a little bit more, particularly compared to some of the other athletes. The top 5 was really spectacular. So I think if she could have been a little bit more detailed, she had a lot of fullness, but just a little bit too much softness. Just a little bit tighter in the waist, more lines in the legs. If she could have gotten her glutes to be more popping, but still, I thought overall she had great size, great shape, and a beautiful stage presence. Okay, next and fourth was Keisha. I was particularly impressed with her upper body. She had really good definition in her arms. She had a great V-taper, particularly from behind. I also really noticed how much of a beautiful shape she had here in the inside of her legs. Just a great amount of size, beautiful roundness, just absolutely gorgeous. She had really nice abs. She had fabulous definition in the legs in particular. You saw lots of detail. I thought her delts looked amazing. She was really, really striking. Great definition in her arms and just overall a great overall shape. I thought her glutes weren't as strong as the others in the top 5 in the lineup, so we'll get there in a minute when I show you everybody side by side. But again, I thought she had a really good shape from behind. That V-taper was really, really nice. And she has a fabulous back, a lot of good size. I also commented that I loved her posing. She had almost a roboticness about her routine, and it was really fabulous. Okay, next in third was Melina. Oh man, was I blown away by her legs. Unreal. She had amazing size, beautiful shape. The roundness was so eye-catching. I could not look away. But on top of that, on top of having roundness and beautiful curves and fullness in the legs, she had crazy good conditioning. The detail was next level. I thought she just really, really was spectacular when she was walking and you saw the beautiful sweep in her quads. Oh, it was really, really gorgeous. I also thought her arms were really good too. Like she had a really nice balance in the upper body and the lower body. She's one of the shorter athletes in stature, but a really good amount of muscle on her frame. The only area I think she could improve on is just that V taper shape, if she could get the waist to be a little bit more tapered in. But man, her legs, wow. And also I saw on Instagram she had a particularly special weekend in Victoria, which is one of Canada's most beautiful cities. She got married, she posted pictures in her wedding dress, and I just think that is so lovely and so amazing, and what a special, memorable weekend it must have been for her. So I think this was awesome. And I also thought her suit was gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful colors. Okay, next in second place was Julia. When she came on stage, it was like, wow, so big, so tall. She was by far the largest athlete. She has an amazing shape. The X frame was clearly visible. Her waist was tiny, and the lat spread, the V taper, just unreal. She had really good conditioning as well. Like you saw feathering in the quads. It was quite astonishing. There was not a single little bit of jiggle when she walked. She was extremely tight. Just wow. I'm saying it now. Wow. I thought she had a really good line showing the difference between the quads and the hamstring. I thought she had a lot of good detail in the legs overall, but I also thought her arms were amazing. Super big, massive was the word that I used. Her delts were huge, and just like overall that shape, the X was just awesome. I also really liked her posing. It wasn't particularly extravagant. It was very simple, but really good. Showed the pose, flattered her shape, and yeah, she just looked awesome. Very pretty. The pink was very feminine, and overall it was a really good second place for her. And now in first place was Sherry. Oh gosh. So I thought she was the clear winner. She had such a great shape. She had such a very beautiful, more compact, but awesome X frame. She had definition from the tip of her toes all the way to her shoulders. Like you saw everything so clearly. She had really good size for her stature. The amount of muscle on her frame was perfect. Her posing, I said, was perfect, really strong. She was always the first one to hit her pose, and she held it really well. She had zero jiggle. There was not a morsel of extra skin anywhere on her body. She was extremely tight, and the lines and details were everywhere, especially her glutes, which I can't wait to show you the picture from behind. I thought she had a really easy to see the individual muscles in her arms. She had so much sharpness and really great detail and definition. Her waist was tiny. Her traps were amazing. Her delts were amazing. And again, extremely feminine, very pretty, nice makeup, beautiful hair. And I have to say, I talked to Sherry a little bit backstage, and she was just lovely, really easy to talk to, really kind, very nice. And I'm super excited that she's going to be going to Olympia. Okay, so here's a picture of the girls side by side. Wow, really exceptional top 5. I do think from a conditioning standpoint, though, you can see that the top 3 really blew it out of the park, particularly in the legs. Melina's shape, that quad sweep, is outstanding. Sherry, that amount of muscle on her frame, you really notice the X. Julia, I noticed, was very upright all the time, whereas Sherry and Keisha had a bit more crunch to their posing, deliberately so, to show off the obliques, the abs. Julia, I found, was always very upright and tall. What else can I say? The definition in all of these women was really quite good, but yeah, that top 3 was definitely standing out to me. I thought that Keisha had really nice arms. I think the arms had even more definition than her legs. I thought that Julia's, the feathering in her quads, you really noticed it in the lineup side by side. Sherry, I noticed so much upper body mass. She really had a lot of good size, and the V-taper on Julia and Sherry in particular was really good. I thought that everybody had beautiful suits, beautiful posing. Wow, it was really, really cool to see these amazing competitors in person. Now, from behind, Sherry stood out. Her legs were great, but her glutes were amazing. The striations, the tightness, the shape. Julia beside her also had amazing glutes, but they didn't quite have the same shape like Sherry. Keisha, I think the conditioning wasn't quite there. She had just a little bit more looseness in the glutes. Melina's glutes looked really good. Our 5th place winner, I think, she had just a little bit too much softness in the legs, but her back looks fantastic. Keisha, I noticed, had a little bit more wrinkling in the skin here, whereas Sherry and Julia were just a little bit more smooth. Julia in particular was extremely smooth in her back, but Sherry had so much size and mass in her back overall. What else did I have written here? Great overall top 5 lineup. The conditioning, the posing, it was really, really amazing. But again, Sherry definitely hit her pose the first and held it really strong. I also noticed Keisha's hamstrings from behind. I think she looked really good. But wow, Sherry was just on another level. And here's a picture from my camera from where I was sitting up in the audience, just from my cell phone. It was so cool to have Bob there doing the announcing, and the energy was high. It was just awesome to see these women. And in terms of Olympia, Sherry's qualified. Okay, let's move on to pro women's physique. So in 1st place, ANNE-LORRAINE, 2nd, Amelia, 3rd, Michelle, 4th, Lisa, and 5th, Alejandra. Okay, so in 5th place was Alejandra. First of all, her suit was gorgeous. She has beautiful legs, great conditioning in the legs. In this picture, she looks absolutely fantastic. But if you can believe it, I actually thought in the lineup compared to some of the others, her conditioning wasn't as easy to see. The lines were not as defined as some of the others, which is crazy because you look at her and she looks phenomenal. I thought she had really great delts and a lot of size in her arms. She had good definition in the quads. Maybe she could have had a bit more size compared to some of the other girls. But overall, I thought she did really good. So just a little bit more size, a little bit more conditioning. It was a crazy difficult lineup. And I thought overall she did a really fantastic job. Okay, next in fourth was Lisa. Absolutely gorgeous. First of all, I loved that her hair was up in a bun. It gave you such a good view of her traps. You saw her delts really clearly. She had great arms. Her delts in particular were beautiful. So much definition. I thought that she could have had a little bit more of a V-taper shape, like if she could get the waist to be a tiny bit smaller and maybe just a little bit more tightness in the glutes and the back pose, but her quads were fabulous, great detail, the definition was there, nice size, good shape, great suit as well. I think she just looked really good overall. It was really nice seeing her on stage. She had a really good stage presence. But yeah, so a little bit more tightness in the glutes from behind, a little bit more of that V-taper shape, but beautiful arms, great upper body, and just overall, she looked amazing. Okay, Michelle in third. I have to tell you guys, I actually sat behind Michelle on the airplane. It was so cool. It was my first real, really digging into the show and getting into the spirit, and it was amazing. The whole weekend turned out so incredible. I think Michelle is just a gem of a human being. Now, in terms of her physique, gorgeous. Her delts were beautiful. Her legs were so detailed. Oh, when she was walking, the legs were crazy. Really, like this, and her glutes, I actually wrote down like the lines in her glutes were firing with each movement she made. Really cool. She had awesome biceps. Her back was super 3D. Tiny waist, like when she was in those side poses, her waist was so thin, great abs, beautiful calves, like she just looked really good. And I found that I really traveled. My eye began at her hips and traveled down to the floor. I noticed her calves, I noticed the detail in her legs. Her posing was really smooth, fluid, flowy. She really was spectacular. Her suit was great. Her hair and her makeup were lovely. Like, I have really nothing negative to say. Maybe she could have had a little bit more of the tightness in the midsection on some of the poses. Like, sometimes her waist looked super tiny, and other times compared to the others in the lineup, it was not as tiny. But man, oh man, really impressed, and I think she did a fabulous job. All right, next in second place, Amelia. First of all, her suit was gorgeous, extremely eye-catching, really beautiful colors. With the red tones in her hair, and she had some kind of golden highlights at the bottom. She just looked really good. She has amazing abs and a super small waist, extremely tight. So her V-taper was crazy. I also found that she just had this impressive aura when she came on the stage. You really looked at her. She was big. Her conditioning was great, very full. You see the quad sweep. You see the roundness in the muscles in her legs. Great presence. And her performance, I described it as very lively. She really kept your attention. Beautiful posing. But I was most impressed by that V-taper. She had a really great definition in her back, great size, great overall X shape. So I think she did a really amazing job. And this was a very, very impressive top 5, and she did fabulous coming in second place. All right, now in first place is ANNE-LORRAINE. I could not get over her conditioning. It was insane. Her skin looked see-through. Every single detail in her legs showed. You could see when she squeezed the muscle. It was really something to see. Also, her posing was so flattering. She really knows what to do to show off all of those details everywhere from head to toe. Her back was incredible, beautiful size, beautiful fullness, her X-frame, her tiny waist, her overall mass. She's so impressive. And I've always been impressed with ANNE-LORRAINE, but in person, it's like a whole nother level of inspiring. She's really incredible and extremely beautiful. Her makeup is pretty. Her hair is perfect. The color of her suit, she's eye-catching. She's lovely. I spoke with her backstage. She's just a beautiful human being, and I am so excited that she's going to Olympia. She looked absolutely incredible. Okay, the lineup. Oh my gosh. Again, I have to say your eye was really drawn to the top three, just in terms of the conditioning, the tiny waists, the V-tapers. But ANNE-LORRAINE really stole the show just because of her conditioning. Nobody comes close, particularly in the back pose. Her glutes are like nobody else. I thought Michelle had a beautiful shape, but again, here's where you can see the stomach is not quite as teeny tiny as second and first place. I thought Amelia, her glutes were not quite the same as ANNE-LORRAINE's. We'll get there in a second. I'm getting ahead of myself. The V-tapers, ANNE-LORRAINE had the biggest lats, the biggest delts. Her legs were the tightest. Like you can see in these pictures, the conditioning was really on another level. Okay, let's go look at the back. Oh my gosh. ANNE-LORRAINE's glutes, right? The size, the detail, the fullness in her legs. Not to, be only talking about ANNE-LORRAINE, because I think Amelia beside her has some crazy good shape, really full hamstrings. Michelle has really great definition, particularly in the hamstrings. Lisa's back, I think, looks really good, really full. Alejandra has great detail coming through in this shot here, but I think she just needs a bit more size in the lat spread. Wow, everybody, this was so spectacular. ANNE-LORRAINE's glutes, not only were they huge, but they were very chiseled and carved, particularly in the sides. That really impressed me. Her smallness in the waist as well, so that V-taper really was easy to see. Amelia, I think you see it quite clearly as well, but you can see not quite as wide as ANNE-LORRAINE. What else did I have written down? I was just, everybody impressed me so much. But I think from behind here, you really are drawn to ANNE-LORRAINE. She's got that fullness in her legs. She's got lots of definition. She's got the V-taper. Amelia, I thought she had really nice roundness, good shape. But everybody is looking at ANNE-LORRAINE. And here's a shot from my phone. Wow, check out those striated glutes. I'm seeing Michelle's hamstrings, the fullness in Amelia's back. Amazing. So impressed. And in terms of Olympia, ANNE-LORRAINE is qualified. Okay, let's move on to Pro Wellness. It was a teeny tiny lineup, but so good. And the third competitor, Nicolette, was kind of added at the last minute, which made it so exciting. And I have to say, I saw her trainer, who is Jessica Reyes Padilla, backstage. I nearly fainted when I saw her. She's so nice. It was just so cool. I was not expecting to see her beautiful face. So what an experience. Now, in terms of the scorecard, first place, Cassandra, second, Jennifer, and third, Nicolette. Oh, this was so good. Okay, Nicolette in third place, who I just saw this morning, is headed to the Masters Olympia, which is so exciting. And I believe this was her pro debut. Oh my gosh, what a show. She looked beautiful. First of all, her abs were crazy. You saw the definition so clearly in her abs. She had not a single bit of jiggle in her walk. Her quads had beautiful definition. I noticed her delts. They had a great shape. Her waist was tiny. She had this big, beautiful smile. Her hair was gorgeous. Her makeup was perfect. Beautiful suit. Like, oh my gosh. She had fantastic hamstrings too, and a great curve to this top quad. Just the sweep was there. She looked awesome. I'm so excited for her. She's got a great shape to her glute. Beautiful posing. The only thing I thought that she could work on was the walk. She could be just a little bit more smooth. And when the girls were in their lineup walking to the back, walking to the front, I thought that she didn't have the same polish to her walk as the other two. That's it. Like, I thought she was just unreal. Okay, next in second place was Jennifer. Beautiful. Oh, she's so lovely. I spoke with her also. I spoke with Nicolette. I spoke with Jennifer. I spoke with Cassandra. I spoke with everybody that I could. And like I said, everybody was so kind, so nice, humble, sweet, giving advice, just amazing. Jennifer in particular was just lovely. I thought her sweep from behind was amazing. She had such a good, clear groove in the line coming down her hip. Her conditioning was awesome, outlining that quad. Her waist was teeny tiny. Great definition in her hamstrings. Beautiful size. Wow. In this side pose in particular, I was impressed with the detail, particularly that line. I mentioned it numerous times when I was making my notes. I thought her posing was maybe not as smooth as Nicolette and Cassandra, but still very beautiful. She's got an overall absolutely gorgeous stage presence, amazing glute. Her size was unreal. She's not super tall. None of these women were overly tall. They were more short. They were more compressed, gigantic legs. You know, backstage when I was looking at these girls, I couldn't believe it. It is really amazing. Wellness is something else. And wow, Jennifer is a beautiful representation of it. I think she looked great. The color of the suit, I loved. She was beautiful. Okay, and now Cassandra in first. I didn't have a photo of Cassandra with the official stage photos in that side pose, and that's my preferred pose for doing these recaps. I just think you get to see the most of their physiques. So I give you two here. You can see Cassandra is just gorgeous. First of all, her suit and the lipstick. Oh, I loved it. She was so bright, so eye-catching. It was really beautiful. I loved this color. But now her physique, amazing. The outline of her quads was just next level. She also had a crazy beautiful outline to the glutes. She has so much size, such a great shape. Her conditioning was really good. You've got the groove. You've got a bit of detail by the knee. You've got all kinds of detail coming through in the front pose and the quads. Her waist was tiny. I noticed she bends more forward in that front pose than the other girls, really showing off that curve to her back. Her abs were not quite as hard as Nicolette. The definition was softer, but still there. You've got that line that you see in the six-pack, extremely flat, tight-toned waist. Absolutely beautiful. And her posing was flawless. Flowy, you couldn't look away from her. She's just beautiful. Okay. Wow. The girls side by side were just unreal. Now, I think you can see Cassandra has the most size. Her legs are the biggest by far, the most size in her quads. Jennifer, I think, could have a little bit more to compare to Cassandra, Nicolette as well. I think Jennifer's glutes are quite comparable to Cassandra's, whereas Nicolette could definitely have a bit more curve here up closer to the top by her strap. wow, beautiful posing. I think all of these women know their angles. They know how to really show off the quads and the glutes without being overpowering in the upper bodies. I thought Nicolette and Cassandra in particular had nice delts. Maybe Jennifer could have had a little bit more size in the delts. The shape of the glutes, I commented that Cassandra and Jennifer have that nice roundness, whereas Nicolette is a bit more sloped. So I've already mentioned that. Just a little bit more size up here. What else can I say? The Cassandra had so much fullness to the top of her glutes, to her hamstrings. Jen in her back pose, let's look at the back. Oh, okay. So Jen had the most beautiful sweep to her quads in the back pose. I thought you got a really great amount of definition for both Jennifer and Cassandra in the hamstring. Nicolette, maybe a tiny bit more sharpness to the glute ham tie-in to be really comparable. But all three women had really small waists. Beautiful overall shape. Cassandra, I thought her hair could have been just a teeny bit shorter. Oh, but my goodness, what a beautiful show to see in person. It was really, really something else. Anything else that I can add? I'm just quickly looking over my notes. What more can I say? It was an absolutely gorgeous show. I think Cassandra looked amazing. She had the most size. She had like a fullness from the top of her glutes all the way down to her hamstring. Almost a bit more longness. Nicolette had a bit more fullness in the sides. Jennifer had more kind of fullness to this more middle part of her glutes. So everybody had a little bit of a different shape, but overall really beautiful. But I thought Cassandra was extra special. Just the size, the posing, and just her definition and the fullness was really spectacular. And here's a picture from my phone. Oh, it was so cool to be there, you guys. I really hope to do more of these shows live in person, and I hope you enjoyed it. So in terms of Olympia, Cassandra was already qualified, but another big win for her. And one last thing that was super exciting, I took video footage and I grabbed a screenshot. They did do pose downs in women's physique and women's bodybuilding. It was so fun. Everybody had a huge smile on their face. There was a DJ off to the side. The music was great. It was just such an enjoyable show. And of course, Bob had a quick little interview with all of the winners when they got their medals. It was very professional. It was so cool. So that's it for this show. I've got 2 more recaps coming your way to finish off April. So make sure you subscribe, give me a like if you like this video, comment below your thoughts, and come find me. I'm at turquoisetoffee.wordpress.com and of course on Instagram at turquoisetoffee.